Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Shut Up and Read. Today I'll be doing my most anticipated releases for April, May, and June. So these are just the books I'm really excited for. Definitely not the entire list because there are way too many books out there, but these are the books that are like really top, maybe top 3 to top 5 books every month that I am super excited for. So let's just start off with April. So for April, I have 4 books I am really excited for, and I definitely cannot wait for them to come out and pick them up as soon as possible. The first one over here is The Infinity Quartz by Akemi Dawn Bowman, and this one is out on April 6th. So this book just sounds so intriguing. It's basically about this girl, her name is Nami, who is murdered. She goes off to I think her graduation or something like that, and she's murdered on her way there, and she wakes up in a place where after the body has died and passed away, the subconscious lives on in a place called Infinity, and in this place there is an AI who has now taken control of the entire realm, and this AI is actually a very popular virtual assistant in the real world. And so in this Infinity place, she has now basically kind of taken her revenge, where she is now God and in control, and the humans are in servitude of her. And now this AI is actually close to her goal, which is eradicating humankind forever. And so Nami and her group of rebels try to find a way to just stop her and, you know, save humankind. So I don't know, this book just sounds super fascinating, and the idea of a virtual reality taking over the world is kind of very possible, I think, in today's society, just because technology has just taken over everyone's life. But yeah, this sounds definitely intriguing to me. The next book over here is Blessed Monsters by Emily A. Duncan. This one is also out on April 6th, and this is the final book in the trilogy. And this book follows 3 characters from 2 kingdoms where they have essentially polar opposite beliefs in magic, or like religious beliefs in magic. And the first book was absolutely intense. I was very excited for the second one, but I think at this point I might hold off on reading the second book until this book comes out, because then I could just binge read the entire series. I may have to reread the first book just because it's been a while. I am really excited, and I've heard that I think there's like a 4th character now. Not really sure like if that's true or not, but I'm excited for it. I've heard great things about the second book and just the series overall, so yeah, definitely can't wait for this series to end. Then this next book over here is These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy, and this one is out on April 20th. And this is essentially a queer retelling of The Firebird, which is a Russian folklore. Honestly, I really don't know too much about this folklore, but anything to do with folklore, anything to do with retellings, I am usually like here for it. Especially after I read Spinning Silver, I was like really enthralled with like Russian folklore and just like retellings and books that are inspired from Russian folklore. So yeah, this book definitely is high on my list as well. Then the last book that I'm really excited for that's coming out in April is called Witches Steeped in Gold by Sienna Smart. This one is out on April 20th, and this is a Jamaican inspired fantasy debut novel about these 2 enemy witches who must somehow come together in an alliance, take on a common enemy. So this book already sounds super fascinating. Kind of reminds me of the enemies to lovers trope, and I'm kind of thinking there will be an enemies to lovers trope in here just because it's YA, there's always gonna be fantasy involved. Whether or not these 2 are the love interests, I don't know. Maybe it's like separate people, who the heck knows. But either way though, I'm really excited for this book, and it sounds really fascinating, plus the cover is stunning. Okay, moving on to May. So for May, I also have 4 books I'm really excited for. The first one over here is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This one is out on May 4th. So this book follows a man called Violent Grace, who is essentially humanity's last chance. He ends up getting shipped off into outer space on a mission along with 2 crew members to save Earth. Except the thing is that he's now woken up years later, and his 2 crewmates are now dead, and he's essentially alone with no memories of what is going on. So yeah, he's now struggling to figure out what his mission is, what's happening, why did they die, and like how can he save humanity right now, because he's essentially the last resort. So this book just sounds absolutely fascinating. So yeah, I definitely have high hopes for this one. Then this next one over here is Realm Breaker by Victoria Abior. This one is out on May 4th, and to be honest, this is purely a cover anticipation. This cover is absolutely stunning, but this book follows a girl called Courier and Amarat, I'm really hoping I pronounced her name correctly, who can feel the darkness growing. And then she finds out that she's actually the last in an ancient lineage, and basically the only person who's able to save the world from destruction. I've never read any of her books before. I do really want to, but I've heard great things about her other series, and this book sounds really fascinating as well. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this one. Okay, then the next one sounds really good because it's about a story that I am super intrigued by, and that is called Look of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. This one is out on May 4th, and this is basically a loose inspired book about the 6 Chinese descent survivors from the Titanic. I feel like Titanic is a very beloved story, but I've never heard of any like Asian Chinese descent survivors in the story at all, and this book kind of follows the stories of these 6 survivors. It's like loosely inspired from them, but I just feel like this is why I like historical fiction, just because you learn so much about like real accounts in a fictional world or like in a fictional setting. And this is exactly that. So I've never heard about any Chinese descent survivors in the Titanic before, but now that I think about it, like why wouldn't there be? And the fact that this book follows these twins, who's part of the 6 survivors, just sounds super fascinating. Yeah, so I'm really intrigued by this one. Then the last book that I'm excited that comes out in May is Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. This one is out on May 25th. So this is kind of like Princess Diaries in a way, where it follows a girl, her name is Izumi, who finds out that she is actually a princess of Japan, and how she is, you know, she flies to Japan now to like learn her heritage, her identity, and overnight she is kind of forced to learn all of these like cultures and traditions of Japan that she never really knew about before. And it also goes into dealing with cultural identities. So this girl is actually half white and half Japanese, and trying to identify with which culture. So is she really American? She's not white enough. Is she really Japanese? Because she's not Japanese enough, and kind of dealing with that. So I feel like this book in a way kind of resonates with me, because being raised here with their culture, American culture, but also being Chinese, is kind of like dealing with 2 different cultures. And so I feel like this story is very relevant to me. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to read this book. All right, moving on to the last month, and that is June. June, I only have 2 books that I'm really excited for. The first book over here is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This one is out on June 15th, and this is basically a standalone follow-up of the trilogy, the Truly Devious trilogy, where it follows Stevie, where she is investigating an unsolved mystery at a summer camp. So this takes place after the whole boarding house mystery has concluded. It's like a standalone novel, but it still follows her story, and I believe her friends from the academy, like her boarding school, also comes as well. So it's gonna be a reunion of all the characters again, the same characters in the trilogy, but in a standalone setting. And I don't know, but I really enjoyed the series. So now that I think about it, I still have to read the last book, the conclusion, but either way though, I'm really excited for this one. Then the last book that I'm excited for in June is Broken Web by Lori M. Lee, and this one is also out on June 15th. This is the sequel to Forest of Souls, where it's all about soul magic and this ancient forest that is possessed by the dead. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's a direct sequel, but the first book was really good, and it left on such a huge cliffhanger that I really want to find out what happens next. So I am definitely anticipating this book. So anyways, that is it in terms of my most anticipated releases for April, May, and June. Let me know down below which books are you excited for that I haven't mentioned here. Maybe I'm not aware of it, but definitely let me know down below which books you're excited for. As always, if you do like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. And if you'd like to see more content of me, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. As always, feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!